to the MidByte Hour, second episode of the pod. Very excited to talk about today's topic, which will be a wonderful topic that we'll get into in a little bit. So,
Wow, that was so funny.
knee
Good job, Zach.
flapper.
That was wonderful.
Oh my God, you guys are just comedians. I can't.
How do you think we got so
honestly,
successful?
come on now.
All right.
Yeah, these jokes don't write
Honestly,
themselves.
I was
Okay,
playing in
all
that
right?
one all day.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I have a very advanced AI model to write my jokes personally.
All right, well, you're fired. You're out of here. You're using AI.
Very cost efficient.
We
mind
actually
you.
have your replacement
Yeah,
here
we
today.
do. We're going through a whole
Wow.
interview process, and today's special guest, who we'll introduce in a second here, is going to be one of the interviewers for your replacement. So, riders, hopefully you've enjoyed this last episode.
It's been fun doing a total of one episode.
Well,
with you.
two, technically two. This one counts.
Technically two.
So,
It's been nice talking to you for 5 minutes, writers. I'll be happy to slide into your spot. Oh yeah.
You know what, y'all, I've been learning witchcraft, so y'all better watch your backs.
I mean, I'm the Harry Potter nerd here, so I wouldn't mess with me personally.
That is true.
But I figured, I'll first off introduce our special guest, because guests go before us, actually. So, special guest, introduce thyself.
Hello, I'm Uncle Al, and I make YouTube videos sometimes, sort of. I don't know. YouTube doesn't like me all that much, so we have a very strained relationship. But when I'm feeling up to the task, then YouTube and I, we get along. We're buddies, you know.
When is YouTube good? Like, let's be honest. I mean, not to talk smack about the platform that we are talking on, but,
No. YouTube ghosts me. They don't interact with me at all. So
They're
They
menaces.
suck. Their
tell you.
support system
Yeah, I've had
actually
my own
sucks.
issues with them. It's like, ooh.
If it's
So
not
I'm
one
going
thing, it's
out.
another with them. I swear.
Okay, so I mean, do we need to introduce ourselves? I don't. Do we need to introduce ourselves? I don't.
I'm
I
SpongeBob
think we're the
SquarePants,
only-
so you have to bow down to me now.
I refuse. But yeah,
Crash Bandicoot.
But yeah, hey, you all know
yeah,
who you
Zach,
are, I guess.
Dave, Ryder.
I would assume you would.
The only person that really needed an introduction here is Al, because he's not a like a member of the podcast.
Not a
Yeah.
series regular. Yeah.
Not a series
Oh.
regular, unless you want to be.
We'll see how it goes. We'll definitely see how it
We
goes.
like the
I like
sound of
that.
that. So I guess moving right along, today we are talking about Nintendo's latest release. Well, depending on when this comes out, Mario RPG is coming out soon, but Nintendo's latest, whatever. We're talking about Mario Brothers Wonder, that came out a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, depending on when this comes out, whatever. And we're gonna talk about our opinions on it, and of course, 2D Mario as a whole. So the first topic of conversation, we're going to be talking about our experiences with the 2D Mario title. So I guess we'll start off with Dave. What is your experience with the 2D Mario games?
Good question. 2D Mario is a weird one because like I feel like I want to say my first 2D Mario game was the classic 2D like Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Because I mean, growing up, we had the 3D Mario games for sure, and I've definitely one of my first Mario games was a 3D one. But I think going back and like playing classic Mario or 2D Mario, it definitely started with the first one. I had to have played it in like a collection of something. It was one of Nintendo's collections. And I mean, me personally, I've never been a big fan of 2D Mario. I just like I enjoy it for what it is for the first few levels, but as I get progressively more and more into the game, it just feels more and more like, okay, this is kind of like the level from 2 worlds ago. Like it feels like a lot of rinse and repeat, and a lot of it just really doesn't really click with me. But I mean, I wouldn't say that I outright just despise the Mario 2D titles. It's not like I would go back and like play new Super Mario Brothers for like fun or anything like that. But 2D Mario, I've just never really found a click with me. 3D Mario is always where it's been at for me.
Cool. How about you, Al? We're gonna skip writers for now.
Wow. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
My 2D Mario journey probably began on Super Nintendo with World, I want to say. And honestly, World has yet to be topped for me. World is just like, it's so good. It's a cut above the rest. But when I think back on like the 2D Mario titles, not a lot of them really jump out to me. I've never been like super into the NES ones. They were always just a little too, I don't know, a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? Primitive, I guess, in the gaming space. To me, they just kind of feel like, well, we've had better 2D platformers since then. And the new Super Mario Brothers games are just kind of okay. So I never really felt too strongly about them either. They kind of started to feel like copy and pastes after a while, but yeah, like it really just kind of comes back to World. That is like the pinnacle of 2D Mario to me, and that's the bar that I measure all of my Mario games up to. At least the 2D ones, Not that there's like a ton of 2D Mario games, I guess, but yeah, honestly, the 3D games are probably more my speed too. I'm kind of in the same camp as Dave there, stuff like Sunshine and 64 and Odyssey. They're just they're so good, so good.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
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 All right.
That was your cue, Zach.
I
That was
thought,
your cue.
yeah, I thought he was gonna add something after that. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I'm out of yes.
yes.
I'm all out of yes. My bag is empty.
Yeah. All right, writers. How about you?
Yeah.
Great, perfect segue. How about you? Go.
All right. So like, I was actually thinking about this question when Dave brought it up, and well, it's so funny because I think about my dad when I think about 2D Mario games, which is a really weird thing. And the reason I say that is because 2D Mario is the only game my dad knows exists.
Fair.
So,
It's valid.
yeah, it's like he could be watching me play like Sonic Heroes or like SpongeBob Out Bikini Bottom. He's like, "What the fuck is that?" But then like I remember him buying me like new Super Mario Brothers Wii. He bought me like a whole bunch of Wii games when I first got the Wii, which he bought for me because I was able to get straight A's that year. So I felt very proud of myself getting that console that year. The only time in my life I've ever gotten straight A's, by the way. And I remember like I was playing Super Mario Bros. And my dad was like, "Oh, I used to play that when I was a kid." And then I was like, "You know what a video game is?" I mean, I know you've been buying them for me for like my childhood, but I'm like, you've never ever shown interest in it ever. To my dad, I thought maybe he just thought it was like another toy. But the fact that he like knows what like 2D Mario is kind of just a testament as to like how like it basically is the bread and butter of video games. Honestly, it's like a huge foundation of like all platformers, not just 2D ones but 3D ones as well. And so I totally understand like its prevalence. That being said, I am like a 3D Mario guy overall as well, but I do recall being very strangely obsessed with Super Mario Bros. For the DS when it first came out. I think it was like the only Mario game I had on DS for like 2 years, and for some reason that was a game I kept playing like every single day. I didn't even like love it, I just couldn't stop playing it, which it really confuses me to this day because there's no other 2D Mario game that's put me in a chokehold like that, like ever. So
Mario on the go for the first time ever.
yeah, once they put Mario like a traditional 2D Mario game on my phone, which have they done
They
that
did
now?
Super
I
Mario
don't know.
Run.
I mean, if
But-
you want to count
Yeah.
Mario Run, which they
Run
ever
niggas.
so often bring back to life through a special update or whatnot. Sometimes I forget it exists, so whenever I see them acknowledge it, I'm like, "Oh wow, yeah."
Like, all right.
That's
All
a
right,
thing.
that was the one I was thinking of, but I was like, have they done something else besides that? And I guess not.
No.
So there you go. But yeah, so 2D Mario is kind of weird for me. It's like I don't usually care for it, but it has its moments, and that was a very interesting moment in my life, I would say.
Yeah, I get that. Like my experience, honestly, we all kind of have the same kind of thought. Whereas like the 2D Mario games are good, but like the 3D ones are just kind of better. Like, because for me, I grew up playing. I had a very unconventional experience with growing up with 2D Mario games. The two main 2D Mario games I grew up playing were Super Mario Brothers 3, but on the Game Boy Advance, and then the original Super Mario
Right.
Brothers, but on the deluxe cart for the Game Boy Color. So like I played those when I was a kid, and those were my main 2D Mario experience. And then of course I got like the new Super Mario Brothers series, but that's when I kind of fell off because I was so used to 3 and deluxe and even like World, and I was like, oh, these new games. Like the first one, I was like, this is fun. But then after that, I was like, okay, these are getting kind of bland now. Like these are a little bit like, like like after the first one, I kind of like I played Wii for like a level, and I'm like, okay, I've kind of already played this. I don't want to play it. Like so my thoughts are like they're fun, but yeah, the 3D games just kind of overall. There's more depth to them, I think. I mean, some of the 2D games have a lot of oh my gosh, have a lot of cool things like hidden secrets, like hidden worlds, hidden levels, and cool stuff like that. But beyond that, there's just not a lot to really that at least for me that draws me to them nowadays, especially because there are honestly a lot of them. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, world, land 2. You have world. You have new. Wii U 2. Like there's so many. Like it's like they all kind of in my mind start to kind of blend at a point. So yeah, I do like them, and I respect that they, especially the original, is what like really pioneered the genre, and each game after that evolved it even further. But yeah, they're not my favorite Mario games in the world. I have other preferences personally, but
I'm glad my dad's not here. He would literally throw tomatoes at me right now.
oh
So-
brother, this guy stinks.
uh,
But yeah,
just to clarify, you say like 2D Mario, Paper Mario
no,
doesn't count, right?
it's
No.
that's an
Mm.
RPG.
I was thinking about Paper Mario when I was going to go
It's
into my comment,
2D.
but then I was just like,
2D.
but no, it's technically
Yeah.
2.5D.
Because that is the best 2D
Yeah, but
Mario
that's
right
also
there,
a
right?
completely
Paper
different
Mario?
genre. So,
So
I
it's
mean,
2D,
in
guys.
with that,
We gotta sing
Mario
Paper Mario
Party
Technically
praises.
Advance
3D,
then is a
but,
2D
you know.
Mario game, or.
There we go.
But yeah, so I also think we kind of answered the favorite and least favorite ones, because I know Al said World.
Is there like a bad 2D Mario game actually?
I don't think there's like an objectively like, oh, this is
Mhm.
stinky one, but I mean,
Yeah. That's the thing about Mario is that he doesn't really have, well, maybe some sports games, but there's not really a lot of like
Yeah, sports
objectively
games we can
bad
talk
Mario
about
games.
another time. But when it comes to 2D, I don't think there's one that I would say that is like outright horrible.
I mean,
I would say
Yeah,
a
there's a
lot like
handful that are maybe like a little bit middling. Like I would say the new Super Mario Bros. Games after a while kind of started to like, I mean, and not that they were bad games, but like they kind of stopped doing anything all that innovative or interesting. The first one was interesting when it came out because there hadn't been a 2D Mario game in a long time. So New Super Mario Brothers was real new and exciting at the time, but after a while, yeah, not so much. But
Yeah, I remember watching the announcements that they would have at E3 and stuff, and it'd just be like, "All right, new Super Mario Brothers again." I'm just like, "Oh,
yep,
yeah.
here we go again.
Come
All
on.
Even
right.
worse that they kept calling it New Super Mario Brothers. Like it's not new anymore. Especially when you're
Yeah.
doing the same. It's one
Yeah.
thing if you keep the name and make each title feel new, but like it's the same fucking
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
literally."
When I think the second one on 3DS, which is technically the third game, but and then the one on Wii U, I'm pretty sure they released only like
months.
I don't know, a couple
Mere
months apart, a couple weeks apart,
Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah.
And then they were like,
So-
"Here's Luigi." It's
Yeah,
the year of
yeah,
Luigi.
yeah.
So now here's another version of the
Yeah,
game.
I mean, I really think like the main thing, and this is one we haven't mentioned, but I think the main good thing recently of 2D Mario is Mario Maker, where you can make your own levels and share them and all that. The second game kind of like
Yeah.
fizzled and no one really talked about, but that first game, for being a Wii U game, blew up. Like a lot of people played it. Like it became like a little bit of a phenomenon, like where a lot of people were playing it. So that's something from New Super Mario Brothers that worked.
It's about the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
kind of modding that Nintendo will tolerate.
Strike, take down. But
They do not like modders.
Dave, did you say what your favorite 2D Mario title was?
I don't believe so. It's really hard for me to choose one because World is really good, but when I think of 2D Mario, my mind defaults to the Mario Land games for some reason. I just feel like I had a lot of fun with those games overall. Not saying I didn't have fun with World, but I think I just really liked the Land series.
Those are ones that I haven't spent a whole lot of time with that I need to go back and give a fair shake at some point. I've played like the Wario Land games, but Mario Land, yeah, no, I haven't dipped my toes into that too much.
Yeah.
So, but I know a lot of people, have fond memories of those games, and yeah, definitely something
I get so nostalgic of the space
Yeah.
level. It's just
yeah.
the theme of it too. It's just so
Yeah,
good.
I feel like I haven't given those games a fair shot, mostly because they're like from the original Game Boy, and I always look at the original Game Boy and I go, these games just look so not great.
Yeah.
Like I feel that way every time I play a game. I'm like, unless it's like Tetris, I'm like, oh, but
Yeah.
I had no idea these games exist.
all right, comment section.
I was like,
blame
man?
you for that one.
At first, I thought you were referring to like Super Mario 3D Land or something. I was like, that's not
No,
3D,
no.
Dave. But I'm glad I didn't say that. And, well, I probably shouldn't have. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that either. But
Well, we'll roast you for that one.
whatever.
You kind of dug yourself into the same hole.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a moment to redeem yourself, Riders. What's your favorite 2D Mario title that you remember?
I mean, I think by default it has to be the DS one, just because like
Okay.
it got me through so many boring like study halls in middle school.
Fair enough.
Wait, was I allowed to play
Probably
video
not,
games in
but you
middle
know
school?
what? We roll with it.
Probably not. High school, I could see it, but middle school,
You know,
most
I think
certainly
my
not.
my study hall teacher let me.
Yeah, so
He
that
didn't
study
give it
hall,
to
you
me.
were allowed to
So
get away with stuff like that. I did a lot of bad things in study hall.
yeah, I remember playing like I don't know why, but I get stuck in like a level in like the second world. So because I was dumb, I just kept replaying the first world over and over again instead of like trying to
I
get
feel
past
that.
it.
I feel that. I feel like I get
Yeah.
to. There's some games where I get to a point where I just can't get by, so I just go back and start playing
Yeah.
the previous levels.
Yeah, I remember also like feeling very anxious in school, being like, "Oh, this game has like, was it the DS Connect multiplayer feature?" So I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I was
DS download
"Hmm,
play.
does that kid have a DS? Could we play like New Super Mario Bros. DS together?" Then I would try to like go ask him or her, and then I wouldn't. And yeah, that's. I am a solo gamer. I love playing games by myself.
Ditto on that. Yay for loners.
I mean, I
sure.
wasn't in an area where that stuff was very popular. So, like, whenever I hear people talk about having memories of doing that, I'm just like, you're so lucky. You are so lucky because no one in my school cared enough about the DS to even try and do something
No.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar here. I had a small collection of friends that we kind of gamed here and there, but yeah, not a whole lot. What I wouldn't give or what I wouldn't have given to have had a nice big group of gamer pals, but
Yeah.
whatever.
My school was mostly
You know.
like
That's why when it comes to like trading Pokemon, it's just like something that I'm not used to doing because I never had like the Game Boy Advance
Mhm.
link cable, or whenever Pokemon came to DS, no one had Pokemon for the DS near me, so like it's just like I had no clue what that thing was until I got a 3DS and online capabilities were possible.
Yeah, that's because my school is the same way. Like my school is all about like Club Penguin and like those online flash games, and that was about as far as they went. Like not much further than that. Anyways, back on topic. Okay, so we know your favorite Mario game. Al, you said to Mario World, right?
Yeah, I'd say World. I've got a lot of nostalgia for World. I got a lot of bias there, so yeah, I'll sit on top of my Mario World throne over
Fair
here.
enough. I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, that is a really good one, and I'll say 3, I guess, because that's the one I grew up on that I really like. That's I think like the only Mario game that or I should say 2D Mario game that I like legit have sit through it and beat everything in it, like 100%, like all the levels, like so.
Yeah.
And that includes Wonder, which we'll get into Wonder in a little bit here. So I mean, I guess least favorite. Dave, any least favorite, like any
Yeah.
Mario game that you're like, this is poo, or like just like the least?
Uh, again, it sort of feeds back into that whole thing. Like, there's not a Mario game that I wouldn't go back and play. Um, when it comes to the 2D collection, but I think the one that I've played the least would probably be. I mean, as much as people love it, I didn't really care for Super Mario Brothers 2.
Fair enough, because it was different, or
The American NES release for Super Mario Brothers 2. I don't really go back and play that game like at all.
fair enough. I mean, it's very different from the rest of them, so it's the
Yeah,
odd one out, the odd goose in the bunch. So
and it being like a skin of another game that they wanted to introduce to American audiences, just slapping Mario on top of it. Um,
which is weird. Like
yeah.
you couldn't
I
even
didn't
think
really
of them
like it.
doing something like that today, like taking a pre-existing game and just slapping Mario characters into it. Have they? I don't think they've done that.
Right, yeah.
I feel like
Uh,
they have actually. Now I'm thinking about it,
I don't
but
think they have done it in a while. The last instance I could probably think, because they don't even do it anymore, would have been with, I think Kirby was the last time they tried to do a reskin of Puyo Puyo for Americans.
yeehaw. But yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember, but I
Not
mean,
all
I guess
Americans
Puyo
go
Puyo.
yeehaw, Zach.
I guess Puyo Puyo in America still isn't really that popular because Sega just publishes it with Tetris whenever they get the chance to. So
Fair. Riders, do I need to ask you what you're?
Well, I kind of I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I don't really think there's like a bad 2D Mario game, maybe. No, I say that hesitantly. But I will say that like I've
the comment
definitely have
section's about to
noticed
go off.
I've noticed a lot of vitriol against like the one the Wii U and the 3DS and stuff because I feel like those two games are just connected to like an overall issue Mario's had in like the past decade, which is like almost like a cleansing of the brand. It's like only every game needs to star Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, and every game must start in the Mushroom Kingdom, and no NPCs can have unique clothing. Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door. Um, and so I feel like those games, especially, are very highly tied to those like rule sets that Nintendo kind of like enforced for like a good decade or so. And that's why I feel like if there's any game that you could kind of argue are the like most despised 2D Mario games, it's probably those. And I will say though, I was looking I was scripting a Mario video the other day and I was looking at some of the sales figures of some of the Mario games. Did you all know that like the new Super Mario Bros. Like DS games sold like over 30 million
Yeah,
copies or something?
yeah.
I believe it. I
Wow.
believe it. I mean, again,
It's
as
well,
Al said, it was the first 2D Mario game in quite a
yeah.
while.
And
So,
like
I
that is
mean,
like the most
yeah.
bare bones basic 2D Mario game you can have, at least in this day and
Hmm.
age. And to see it like do so well like that, to me, it's not surprising at all. Nintendo was so gun ho about like brand consistency for a while
Oh yeah. Oh
because it's like people like my dad, they'll see that game in like the public and they'll be like, this reminds me of childhood. It doesn't look like there's any weird shit in it. This is definitely the game
They
for
they
me.
they followed the rule set of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep
Yeah,
doing
Hmm.
it. So,
Hmm.
but they followed
Yeah.
it too
Well, just
closely.
like anything else, it
which
wore
is
down and eventually just kind of became, like,
Yeah, yeah.
bleh. So I'll quickly give my
yeah.
answer before Al, because I actually kind of agree with that, because the 2D Mario, like the new Super Mario Brothers format did really take over, and like for me, as someone who likes the Mario side games more than the mainline games, like the sports games and the party games, it did really bleed into those. Like Mario Parties 9 and 10, all of the boards are based on New Super Mario Brothers in both of those games. And then Mario Sports games, kind of the same deal. So it's like, because of those games, it kind of dripped into, and Paper Mario as well. Like it was just a real big domino effect that those games kind of caused. So I kind of agree, because like also there definitely isn't a bad 2D Mario game. Like I can't think of one that's like I said, like there's like, oh, bad, like no, I can't think of one. So yeah, I'll agree with writers on that. What about you, Al? What you think?
Well, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys, with a lot of the thoughts on the 2D games. I don't necessarily think that there's any 2D Mario game that I would call bad. A couple of them that I think are just kind of, they're okay. I'd play them, sure, why not? But yeah, I would say the ones though that I'd probably have the least interest in revisiting are probably the NES ones. They for the reasons I stated earlier, they're old, and like I don't know, we've got a lot of improvements in our 2D platformers ever since then. They kind of just sort of feel like ground zero for platformers, and there have just been so many more innovative and creative platformers since then. But I still do really, hold a lot of appreciation for what they were able to do for, the genre of kind of platforming over the years and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one of them, though. I don't know. Maybe Mario 2. I might be in the same boat there, just because it's the weirdest one of
Yeah.
those original 3 games that just doesn't really feel like Mario, because it wasn't. It was, reskin of Doki Doki Panic. So I would say probably that one. But like I said, I don't necessarily think that they're bad games, though. They're just not up to my kind of current platforming standards, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
No.
but the new Super Mario Brothers games, for as much as I rail on them for their kind of sameness over the years too, like they're really not bad games either. They're perfectly fine 2D platformers that I don't mind revisiting if I have to. But
Mhm.
yeah, it definitely got a little stale after a while. I'm glad they have since moved on from that format, which we'll get into here shortly, I imagine. So
Yeah, we're actually going to get into it right now, funny enough. And so
boom, transition,
Boom.
segue.
the transition
Yeah, let's
stopped here. You
go.
see, this is why we're thinking of hiring you and kicking out riders. Like, this is
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Writers,
right.
get out of
Yeah.
here.
I'll put you guys my invoice right
Guys,
after.
hashtag Save Riders DX. Make a trend on
Save
Twitter right
Riders
now.
DX.
Let's go. I've always wanted to trend on Twitter. Let's go.
So yeah, I know we're half an hour into this podcast already. We haven't talked about Super Mario Brothers Wonder, but we're getting to it. So yeah, Super Mario Brothers Wonder released as of recording, it was maybe 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but whatever. It
Yeah,
released
whatever.
a little bit ago, very recently. It's Nintendo's newest title.
It was like when it was it the 20th
Maybe?
of October?
I just know it came out the same day as
Man.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
Time
Yeah.
flies.
time
It
flies.
does
And
fly.
yeah, so we all, from what I've seen from our conversations, have varying different opinions on this game, and I'm very interested to see, or I guess hear, what everyone has to say. So I'm gonna start with Al. What did you think of Super Mario Brothers Wonder?
I was not sure what to expect from it before going in. I kind of intentionally kept my my visors up to avoid looking at anything regarding the game before going in. And I'll tell you, I was absolutely smitten by this game as early as the second level. I was like, this is going to be gold. I could just feel it. I'm going to love this thing. And I got to say that love and appreciation for everything that they did with it permeated throughout the entire game. And I'm just, I don't even know where to begin. Like, it feels like this game was just such a massive creative endeavor for Nintendo that I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Um, uh, I really don't even know what else to say. I just think it's great,
The
man.
grass looks really nice
know?
in the first level.
That I love the grass. The grass is my favorite part of the game.
Riders, have you been smoking some grass? What kind of answer was
It's
that?
so vibrant.
What?
First
I just,
frame of the
you know
game.
what? I'm a green thumb. How do you know I'm not a green thumb person? I might just appreciate grass. I'm not, but
Is
like
it the
I could
texture? Is
be.
it consistency? Like,
Oh, it's everything about the grass. You know, this
It smells nice.
can't feels
Probably
nice.
tastes,
You know,
probably tastes
Yeah.
pretty nice.
yeah. You know,
Ew.
Fresh
I
out
wouldn't
of
taste
salad.
can't
grass.
beat that Mario grass.
Mario.
oh my god! All right, Riders, go. What do you think of Super Mario Bros. Wonder?
Well, you
What do you
know,
think
it's
about the
like
grass?
all right, so I have like, because I can't make up my mind, I have two different brains when it comes to this game. So
Two more than I got.
so man, you really should not shade yourself like that. That's like really hardcore shade right there. But so obviously like this is a really well made game. This is super well made. You know, it works well. The characters control great. There's a lot of different options. So, you know, a lot of people like really love to like be challenged in video games. I'm not one of those people. I like going to my games. I like playing through them like it's a walk in the park. You know, that's just who I am. And so the fact that this game has like, you know, you can play as like Mario, Luigi, Peach, or whatever, and you can you know, have like a normal adventure. But if you're not really in the mood for like a challenging experience, you can also play as like one of Yoshi's or like that bandit
Nabbit.
thing. I don't know who they are. Nabbit. Yeah. Okay. And you can play one of those and have an easier experience. And then like I really appreciate this a lot more than I thought I was going to, but I really appreciated difficulty ratings for each of the levels. Like, I really, really thought that was such a cool thing. And like, it's totally not necessary, but it's really cool to like, oh, do I really have the mental capacity to do a 4-star difficulty level right now? Or do I want to go to that 1-star one that I missed a seed in and try to find it there? So it's kind of nice that I can kind of customize my experience and all that stuff. I feel like the game is really set up well to accommodate a lot of people's different play styles, which is something I really gotta give it credit for. And I mean, yeah, it's bursting your creativity. You know, it's 10,000 times more creative than I will ever be. So I'm really, really impressed by just how much awesome stuff there's in it. I think my favorite part of the game is the singing piranha plants.
That's on the second
Yeah.
level. Like that's
Same here.
it's insane.
Yeah.
That, like they have that
Yeah.
much creative like they're like showing their cards like on the second level. Like right, you want us to be creative, you want us to be not bland. Fine, here's some singing piranha
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
buy an album from them ASAP. Come on, let's go. You know what? You know, when I make my trip to Target to buy another Taylor Swift vinyl, I also pick up their debut album. So let's go.
I was about to say,
Um,
would you like to see them go on tour with Taylor Swift?
Right up there.
Everyone should go on Taylor Swift. You know how much boost of a catalog should give everyone? Imagine if like yeah, just about anyone went on Taylor Swift. They would sell 1 million copies easily.
It's true.
That's
Big
true.
brain
That's
plays.
true.
But so that's like that's one of my brains. You know, it's like I can fully appreciate it. This is a great game and it has very few like bad things about
However,
it. My other brain, which is just me, is literally just my taste, is like 2D in general is just like a genre that I can totally appreciate. And there's a few rare games here and there that are 2D that I like love. But I don't love most
Paper
2D
Mario
games.
does not count.
Yes, it does. Paper Mario is 2D, 3D, 4D. It's everything.
40. You can
So it
smell
counts.
Paper Mario.
Uh,
You smell the grass
You
in
can
Paper
smell
Mario.
the paper. For shit.
yeah. But like
Paper Mario
yes,
has nice grass.
Oh
it
man,
does have nice
made it
grass.
paper.
Mario
funny
grass. I
enough.
gotta see this.
You know, it's what does it? Okay, you know what? I'm done talking about grass. I'm sorry I even brought it up. But yeah, so 2D games are just sort of like not my personal taste, and I've kind of realized that I can play a lot of games, but there's a certain subset of games that I like will actually love, and that's basically like the single player 3D platformer action adventure like games. So, it's like Battlefield Kingdom, for instance, all the 3D Sonic games, all the 3D Mario games and stuff. Those are my like go-to games. I just love the exploration, all the different like little dimensions that 3D game like opens up to you, and it's really just something that I feel like a 2D game is never gonna fully provide for me. And so it's like I would try to keep playing through Wonder, and I'm just like not that interested. But I can sit here and fully appreciate that it's a really well made game, and it definitely does everything it can to try to expand those dimensions in its own way. But I mean, I played through like 5 or 6 levels. I'm like, yeah, I like it, but I'm good personally. Which, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. So
I mean,
there you
that's a
go.
fair opinion. Fair opinion. I mean, you're gonna get roasted for it, but
yeah.
it's a fair opinion.
Like I said, that's why I split it to two brains. It's like this brain that like loves the game can kind of take all the attention and be like, yeah, it's a great game, leave me alone. But then this brain is like, let me just go back to playing more of like Battlefield Bikini Bottom because that's just how I am.
That's fair. That's fair. How about you, Dave? What did you think?
All right. I'm kind of in the same boat as writers here.
Mhm.
I will say that this game has done something that I haven't really seen in a long time, and that's be innovative with the 2D Mario title. Because I played the first level, and I remember I went to Target to play the demo. And after playing a couple of levels in the demo, I was like, okay, it's just new Super Mario Brothers, but with an updated art style. Like that's how I felt after I played 2 levels and put the controller down and just walked away. But little to my knowledge, did they have the level order in the demo completely different from the order that it was in the actual game? So when I started playing the first level, I played through. I was like, okay, all right. Then I played the second level. I was like, hold on, this looks nothing like what I played in the demo. And then out came, I grabbed the Wonder Seed, and then out came singing piranha plants. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm actually kind of enjoying this. Like, what is this? Why? Like, I love every ounce of it. And I go through and I play through the first world. I play through the second world, and then it's around world 3 where I'm just like, all of a sudden it's just like, wait a second. The thing that I dislike about 2D Mario is kind of getting in the way now. It just like all these creative ideas from the first 2 worlds, fantastic, but now every single time I pick up a Wonder Seed, it's just like, okay, this was sort of similar to what they did back in the first world, but with Koopas. Right? And it's just like that's cool, that's awesome, but like it's already been done before. And I don't know. I just going through each level from the first world into the second world, it just felt like they just kept giving me something new to mess around with in the world. And it just, as the game progressively got on, it just didn't really feel like there was much being thrown at me that I felt the need to continue. And it just became more so a game that I would be excited and looked forward to playing every day that I woke up, to a game where I was just like, okay, I kind of want to play Spider-Man 2, or like I want to play the Sonic Superstars, like all these other games that just came out, and there's just not really a redeeming factor to go back and play it right now. I mean, I'll obviously go back and play it on my own time, but it just felt like a lot of the creativity just sort of, for me, fizzled. And I went right back to the mindset of, it just feels repetitive.
Fair enough.
You are much more harsh than I was.
I do love the music though, and the grass is great.
Yeah, the grass is excellent. It's my favorite part.
The grass
of
is
the
What
game.
have you
God.
started, writers? What have you started? You created a monster.
I got a new podcast idea in mind.
Grass.
Let's talk about the gaming grass, the best.
Let's
grass
talk
in
about the
gaming.
different
Yo,
grass.
the grass in Breath of the Wild, that's top tier
Yeah.
grass.
Oh, actually, that grass is top tier. Actually,
Oh, and
Yeah.
rehydrated too. Like, that's some grassy grass.
I don't know. It looks a little plasticky and rehydrated. But I dig it. But
I can kind of relate to what you're saying there, Dave, about yeah, there is a certain point in the game where a lot of ideas kind of start to become like they start recycling some of the things that they kicked off the game with, and I think that would bother me more if, like, I don't know, me personally, when it comes to like 2D platformers and stuff, well, just platformers in general, I just love trying to uncover all the secrets and collect all the little trinkets and whatever is, in these games. So, that I think is where like a lot of the enjoyment comes from for me with, especially with Mario Wonder. I had so much fun just going through this game, trying to get all the Wonder Seeds, seeing what, kinds of unique twists and turns they would bring to the table with the Wonder, was it Wonder Flower, I think, or something like that?
Water flower.
Yeah. And, trying to get all the purple coins too. And then also, I think, the top of the flagpole was another requirement to, get the completion, all that kind of stuff. So it was all those little, like, challenges and things that helped it a lot for me to, avoid getting repetitive, I would say. But, there's a spider just coming down right in front of me here. I think I'm about to turn
That's
into
just
Spider-Man.
an Easter egg for the next podcast.
Here we go.
He's
here to give you a. He's here to give you a grass report.
Like, the grass outside, it's getting too big, it's getting too high.
Okay, wait. I have to ask this before I forget. What are the purple coins for?
They're for buying stuff in the shops, like badges and extra lives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, shop.
Oh wow, I'm so stupid. I was buying stuff from the shop. Okay.
They don't really feel all that important in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things. So,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
I mean, I usually have enough coins to just buy the Wonder Seed, and I usually don't buy anything else. Mm-hmm.
That was what I did too on my first playthrough of the game. Like I would go in and buy the Wonder Seed, and that would be it. And then I realized that I should have been spending them on the little standees or whatever, because my purple coin counter was maxed out for most of the game, so I was just kind of making it harder on myself later on in the game whenever I needed to spend those coins to get those standees for the completion, and then I didn't have enough for all of them. So, that's not the way to do it if you're trying to go for 100% completion. Just buy them when you have them. Spend those coins.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like, I thought I was gonna be in a different kind of boat, but I'm kind of similar. I view the game a little more positively than you two, than Dave Riders. I view it a little more positively. I say it's a very just solid game overall. Great music. The level design is a huge step up from the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Like, everything about the game,
I will
every
agree with
aspect
that.
of the game just oozes charm. But I will say, I see people online saying that this is a Game of the Year contender. No. It's a great game.
Ooh,
It's a great
okay.
game. But when you've had games like Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom and Pikmin 4 and all these other amazing games that have come out this year, this game just doesn't, like, it's a 2D Mario game. It's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, but it's not a grand, amazing. It's just 2D Mario with some charm. Like, it's a great game in its own right, and the level, like Ryder's saying with the difficulty, I appreciate that it's a bit of a harder game. I appreciate that there are a lot of levels that are pretty difficult, and, like, I raged at a few of them. There was one level that was, like, in World 2 or 3 that I was like, what the fuck? This is the second or third world. What do you, like, this is insane. Like, and I appreciate it. I'm like, finally, some challenge, some good umphy challenge, and it really is a great game. Just not as amazing. I feel like once we're a little further out and, like, it's not as close to the release, like, it's like one of those things, right? Where people be like, oh my god, this is the greatest game of all time, and then it'll finally simmer, and it'll, it'll get to it. But I think it's got, like, a Metacritic score of, like, I was like 90 something, right? Like, isn't it in the 90s on Metacritic?
I mean, that's
somewhere
almost
around,
every
yeah.
platforming Mario.
Yeah, but
game,
even
so,
so,
there you
like
go.
it's like okay, like as high as Tears of the Kingdom, as high as like I don't know about that one, Chief. I mean, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe I'm just thinking like in terms of scale. Like I know bigger games doesn't necessarily always mean better, but I don't know. Like it's a good game.
We know any game that's like good has to have a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now. Like if you give a game like an 8 out of 10, people
Yeah,
will think
like
you're
I would say,
hating
like
on
this is a solid, like
Which
That's
is
why I
insane.
just disagree. That's why I would just disagree with looking
Yeah.
at review scores in general, because it's just
Yeah.
like everyone expects, especially on Twitter, everyone expects that this next game is 9 out of 10. If it's not 9 out of 10, then it's whatever. Get that game out of
yeah,
here.
like I would put it like in the 8 out of 10 region personally. Like it's a great game. It's like
We've gotten to the point where people look at 7 out of 10, which
Yeah.
is good, by the way, really good. But no, that's horrible. That's trash.
but yeah, that's the way it be now. I mean, on Twitter, God, Twitter is. We're not gonna talk about Twitter. That's the whole. We don't need to talk. We don't need that toxicity in our pure call.
Twitter doesn't have grass.
Yeah,
Twitter
no,
doesn't
half
have
the people there
grass. We
haven't
don't talk
even
about
touched
Twitter.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, no. So
Yeah, Twitter's not a real place. It doesn't matter.
The thing about Wonder that really shocks me is like, you know how I mentioned that the new Super Mario Bros. DS game sold like over 30 million copies. So you would think after a blockbuster record-breaking movie that Nintendo would want to kind of come out with something that is a guaranteed success. And instead they came out with like Wonder, which I guess it was always going to be a success, you know, no matter what they did with it. You know, it was a 2D Mario game, but they didn't really have to really innovate in that way. You know what I'm saying? It's they could have just made a very solid, like straight to form 2D Mario game just to loop in all the people that are like, oh, I remember Mario when they like watched the movie and stuff, but maybe haven't paid attention to the games that much recently. But no, instead they went for like one of the most like creative and innovative 2D Mario games I've ever seen. You know, arguably the most creative and innovative Mario.
definitely. I
2D
mean,
Mario
and,
game
and we
ever.
didn't even mention the badge system. The badge system and the gameplay is
Right.
such a gameplay changer for
Yeah.
2D Mario in general.
I think it's just such a weird like shift in Nintendo. But the more I thought about it, the more I sort of realized that this is something that they've been heading into for a while. You know, because it's like they spent all the Wii and Wii U eras just sort of like sticking to basics, you know, giving the public what they expect with these franchises. And then when the Nintendo Switch era came, there's Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, you know, these like really like innovative games within their respective franchises. And it just seems like I wonder if like the success of those games really just propelled Nintendo to be like, oh, we're the shit. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take some risks and have some fun with this, basically.
Well, I think especially after the Mario Maker games, they had to make this pivot because there was no way that they could stay in that kind of same sort of realm that they had been sort of stuck in for, you know, years and years. Like they had to do something new and interesting to kind of, you know, recapture people's attention with that, you know, because otherwise it would have just felt like, again, more of the same. But I really think they did a great job of stretching kind of the creative limits of what is possible with a game like this. And, you know, I think there's still more that they can do. You know, one area that we haven't really touched upon either was the bosses for Mario Wonder. They blow. They suck. Yeah, it's just not good.
I remember fighting Bowser Jr. the second time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The first Bowser Jr. battle, I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is interesting. This is like a new kind of, you know, boss format that they haven't done in a Mario game before. And then they just copy and pasted it throughout the rest of the game. And I was like,
Okay,
well,
sure.
Oh, they did?
yeah,
Okay.
that kind
Yeah.
of blows.
Oh, okay. I'm not missing much then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Bowser
definitely
Jr.
not.
is no different than the first like 3 times you fight
Yeah,
him.
like they do little things,
Yeah.
like they'll shrink
Yeah.
you or whatever, but like other than
Yeah.
that, it's the exact same fight.
Yeah. Right,
Wow.
yeah.
Which is
okay.
whatever.
You know, Sonic
I mean,
Superstars has different
And
bosses.
I
in
get
every
they
level.
probably didn't want to use the Koopa Kids because everyone was complaining about the Koopa Kids returning. So
And, you know, honestly, if they had given them each a sort of a unique wonder spin for something like this,
Oh, for
I wouldn't
sure,
have
yeah.
minded, you know, them bringing the Koopalings back, but, you know, that's not what we got, so.
I'm just gonna let you guys know something. fair warning, I got pizza arriving soon, so. So we don't have to. We don't have to
Wow,
end
thank you
this.
so
We
much
don't have
for
to end
that.
this, but there will be a
Thank you.
second. Where I'm gonna
I didn't-
run out.
how'd you get each of our address? Oh, the grass. The grass had to
yeah.
have told you
Yeah, the
all of our
grass, the grass
addresses.
communicates. I mean, I'm in New York City, so there is no grass here, but
see.
you know, it's whatever.
Gotcha.
Oh,
The concrete grass.
yeah, the grass
I got-
whispering in the wind. For
They don't call it the concrete jungle for nothing.
I hope you ordered my pizza to be low carbs, no sugar.
No sugar. I don't. What, you put sugar on? Who put? Do you guys put sugar on your pizza? Just like
You put sugar on your pizza?
Extra anchovies.
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 I love how Eddie.
Other than that, you can keep it normal.
All right. So the next question. Do we? I think we kind of talked about it. Like, what makes it different than?
We kind of dabbled
Yeah,
into it a little bit. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do the second part though. Favorite creative aspects. Dave, I'll start with you. Well, or actually, no, Ryan. We haven't started with you yet. What's your favorite creative aspect of Wonder?
Well, like I said, the barbershop a cappella group.
Are
the
we
Piranha
all
Plants.
gonna agree on that? I feel like that's. Yeah, I,
I
feel like
think
we're just.
so.
I mean, I just think the music in general is a huge like big
Yeah, the
thing
music's
for that
actually
game.
really
like
good.
the soundtrack for Mario Wonder is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, actually,
It's
Dave, you'll
excellent,
appreciate this, but it reminds you of the Crash Twin Sandy soundtrack.
Yeah,
It
Is
does.
it
It
all
does.
acapella?
It does. The
Yeah.
whole like acapella feeling.
You know, like maybe it's a little peppier, like a little bit more happy-go-lucky.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
While the Twin
But
Sandy, I
that's
feel
just
like has
because
a
of Mario.
Twin Sandy has a bit of an edge to it. I feel like this one doesn't, but I think this soundtrack really suits the game as a whole. Wonder's a very
Yeah.
goofy game. Like it's
Yeah.
just like they literally have talking flowers that
Which
scream at you.
everyone thought they would be annoying, but I've seen on Twitter everyone's like, no, we actually kind of like really like them. We
Well, actually, I find the talking flower annoying.
Okay.
I disabled that as soon as I
Oh,
started.
you can disable it.
Yeah, you can disable it.
Ah, okay. See, accessibility. You know, options, customization.
It took him to say 3 things within the past 5 seconds of going through the first level. I was like, nope. All right, you gotta go.
all right. So minus Dave and
I
maybe a
honestly-
couple other people.
I honestly did not really
Oh,
notice them.
my pizza's here. I'll be
You know,
right
they would just
back.
say, like,
He was like at every turn.
you know,
right,
make sure
all
they
right.
gave you your drink, Zach.
This one's
Yeah,
on the hat.
So where were we?
Good
We were
question.
talking about our favorite aspects.
Yes,
of
favorite
the game.
aspects. So yeah.
Creative
So
aspects.
besides, so no, we all said the music / Piranha Plants on Parade.
Those piranha plants really strapped me in. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. This I was like, oh, this is gonna be something special.
Like I,
The-
It's just-
they came from the grass. I love it.
You know, Dave, you're gonna edit this and see how much you.
well,
brought
you
up
started
grass,
this, Riders.
and
You
you're gonna be
started
like,
this.
no, but like I started it, but I'm not the one that keeps bringing it up every 2 minutes.
Oh, we're gonna need a grass compilation.
That's gonna be a
Uh,
short,
awesome.
isn't it? It's gonna be something with the grass.
It's gonna be one of the short. Every single time I say grass,
A
just
shot? All right. Oh.
play a little drinking game with us.
Okay.
Um,
I will say I really liked what the Wonder Flower brought to the table for this game. I do agree that like some of the Wonder Flower mechanics were reused a little too much for my liking. Like, but as much as I enjoyed them on the first playthrough, I do wonder if on subsequent playthroughs if they're gonna hold up as well. Because I feel like once you kind of see it and you've experienced it, then that's it, and you kind of know what to expect from that point forward. So I don't know, it'll be kind of interesting months and years down the line to see like how well this game kind of holds up, because I do think a lot of it now is kind of the honeymoon phase of this game, where it's new and it's something different, but yeah, time will let us know.
Yeah, I mean
guess.
it's like any gimmick
Sure.
in any game. Where like so many games have gimmicks that they
Right.
add to them that either like for example like the Wii, right, with like the motion controls. It's like, do they stand the test
Yeah.
of time? Do people still like motion controls? I personally can't stand motion controls nowadays, to be honest. But either way, yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Like, what will we look back in 5 years and be like, oh, this is still cute?
Mhm.
How dare you hate on wagging your hand? I love wagging
I'm
my
a
hand in the
lazy
air like
fuck.
it's
I hate
nothing.
exercising. I hate any kind of physical movement. I want to
You know,
sit there with a
actually
controller
funny.
and just do this.
You know, when I was like in middle school and I thought the Wii was like the most revolutionary thing ever, I actually bought like Mario and Sonic the Olympic games and I would play the games every day because I thought I was burning calories doing that.
I mean, you
Well,
are
I mean, technically
kinda.
you can. Technically you are.
Like what, 10
I
calories?
mean, even Just Dance, the Just Dance games have a built-in calorie.
Yeah, dance
burner
games
thing.
actually are good ways to like get some like fun exercise because you're actually doing stuff with your
But
body.
I mean, yeah. When you're playing those games with motion control, you are technically
mean-
being active.
But like
You're
I
not
thought
gonna
that
burn a
this-
lot of calories.
I thought
but
this
you
was
are
literally
burning something.
exercise.
A small technical. I mean, if you get like really into the Olympic Games and you start like running in place, like that.
Yeah, if you're doing
I
something
was
like
not
that,
doing
then yeah. But like, if you're doing this, then maybe you'll burn like
I mean, you'll
a
have
half
really
a
good
calorie?
wrists.
I don't know.
I burned the same amount of calories sitting down actually. If y'all like go to like a health class something like that, that's you actually burn calories just sitting down.
Well, hey, we're burning calories right now.
I call bullshit on that, but okay.
All right. Well,
But like I do think that this game did show a bunch of really good potential ideas. And yeah, I love to see a bunch of this stuff return in like another 2D Mario game. But what I would really love to see, and this kind of goes away from, well, actually I think this is somewhat related, but I would love to see this stuff implemented in a 3D game. In particular,
like the badges, like the singing
Like-
piranhas, like or just everything. Oh, okay.
everything. I would love to see everything implemented in a 3D game. You know, make a Wonder 3D version. I think that would be really
Wonder
fascinating.
World.
I feel like
Yeah.
people wouldn't like that. Only because like people are so like they want their 3D Mario games to be very different from the norm. Like it's like almost
Yeah.
like when 3D World came out. Like people really liked it when they played it, but at first they were kind of like, "Oh, this is just a 3D version of a 2D game." And it's like,
Oh, you know what? I have a perfect solution. Paper Mario Wonder.
Not 2D
you know, the
game,
grass would be
Craig.
really good in that game, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the grass would be popping in that game.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know, I think it'd be fun, you know, with the art style of Paper Mario and having like a Wonder Flower, like, you know, you can like draw it in if they return to the turn-based battles like everyone wants them to do.
Let's
for, like,
not kid
years and
ourselves.
years.
The Thousand-Year Door is a cover-up for something. The Thousand-Year Door.
The Thousand
remake
Year
is
Door is a
cover-up for
blessing from the
something.
heavens.
I mean, I'm even in
I'm
awe that they're
eternally
even
grateful.
considering it, but I genuinely don't think by them doing this means anything spectacular for the Paper Mario franchise.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
mean, usually
know.
when they remake something, there's usually something like when they remade Luigi's Mansion.
All right, where's Metroid Prime 4?
What?
Where's
It's
Metroid
coming
Prime 4?
Eventually.
I don't know. I'm not Nintendo.
But I mean, like they remade Luigi's Mansion, and then Luigi Mansion 3 came out, and you know they do it every now and again. Well, they'll remake something, and then a newer version will come.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, I think Wonder has a lot of really cool ideas, and you could kind of see them be implemented in a bunch of different parts of Mario's like catalog. You know, like imagine a Mario Party styled Wonder game.
I wonder how that would work.
I
That'd
feel
be
like
really
I would be
goofy.
fuming. I feel like I would be fuming at the seams just playing that game.
Oh, yeah, I do think from like, you know, in terms of like creative direction, this bodes well for just kind of the future of, you know, sort of the Mario games in general. Because like you guys had mentioned, you know, the new Super Mario Brothers games for a while almost kind of seemed to influence like even the surrounding spin-off titles, and they all kind of just had this sort of homogenous sort of feel to it. So I'm hoping that they can, you know, really lean into the creative aspects of Mario Wonder and kind of, you know, allow some of their other franchises to, or, you know, their spin-offs, the Mario spin-offs and all that kind of stuff, as well to flourish.
One thing that came to mind that, I mean, it's not even out yet, and we haven't really even seen that much of it. But you can kind of, at least for me, you can kind of see some instance of creativity from this game flowing into that new Princess Peach game
Yeah.
that they're doing,
That's true,
because
too.
it's like a different play every single time she goes to a different world or something like that. So like, you could definitely see some aspects of creativity from Wonder going into spin-offs already,
and
just
even
from that.
like with like Super Mario RPG coming back, like the the original Super Mario RPG from the Super Nintendo, like they kept all the original characters when back in 2017 or 18 whatever, when they remade the Mario and Luigi games. They had changed some of the characters in that game, like all the Koopa Troopas looked like the normal Koopa Troopas as opposed to the style that they were in that game. Like they had changed everything, but in this game for Mario RPG and by extension also the Thousand Year Door, all the characters are as they were in those original games. So they're not tweaking things to make them look more, like modern and like they're actually giving them the other people or the other developers the freedom to be like, yo, just you can do whatever you want.
Every time I watch that Thousand Year Door trailer, tears well up in my eyes.
It's the grass, man. It's the grass. I know it's freshly cut.
No.
I know it's freshly cut, but come
Grass
on.
is like 1% of that. It's literally everything. That game is literally the best Mario game that's ever been created, and you all can literally drag
The
me
fact
for
that
wherever you
grass
want
is even
from
a
saying
singular percentage of the hype.
that. Yeah, I see nothing but good things, at least with Wonder. It just signifies like a good headspace for Nintendo when it comes to making more Mario games, because it's such a flagship franchise. It is like the franchise of all Nintendo franchises at like most risk of like sticking to like a status quo. And so it's really cool to see that they're feeling adventurous in Mario, and yeah.
It's the Mario game that I feel like I've been waiting for like the entirety of the Switch generation so far. When this thing first kicked off and they had like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and stuff like that, I felt like those games were indicative of like sort of this new horizon of Nintendo. And I get a lot of flack for saying this, but I didn't feel like a lot of the rest of the Switch generation really lived up to those kind of creative expectations. And I feel like Mario Wonder is that game that I've been waiting for to kind of follow up those sort of those hits. And I'm hoping that they they continue to do this with like all of their franchises moving forward,
And something we didn't even mention, because it's obviously is a very new feeling Mario game. It's a new feeling Mario game with a new Mario and Luigi, new voice for Mario and Luigi. I don't know how we went the whole entire thing without saying that.
Yeah.
The new voice,
That's
of
true,
new
too.
Mario after 30 years.
Well, see, the thing is, whenever it comes to 2D Mario, you don't really ever think about the
No.
voices, because Mario's never really had
no,
voice acting.
but I think
Yeah.
other than the fact that, like, obviously the
Yeah. Well, it's always been Charles too, so you don't really,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely noticed a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew there were new voice actors going into it, but I definitely could hear the difference. But I mean, like, whoever that guy is,
Kevin
he's doing a good
Afghani,
job.
I think his
You know,
name
I
is.
don't mind.
I think, I mean, that's the thing though,
Kevin
is
Afghani.
yes, it's different, but I mean, it's not the same guy, so of course it's gonna be different. Like you can only get so
Yeah.
close, and if he was like exactly like Charles, it would almost be a disservice to the new guy as a voice actor for not having any creative freedom to have his own spin on Mario. Because yes, we want it to sound like Mario, but he should also be able to give his own spin to the character and have it become his own rather than just mimicking the guy before him, So
Well, and it was inevitable too, right? I mean, like Charles
Yeah.
was eventually, going to have to be replaced. It was just an inevitability of life. And
Yeah,
I
I mean-
think this new guy who they've got in, like honestly, like he's kind of got a fresh take on the characters. They sound similar enough to me that like I wasn't bothered by it and going through the game. I thought he did a perfectly fine job, and I know a lot of people, and even myself, were critical of his interpretation of Wario too. But I will say I was actually playing the newest WarioWare here recently, and he actually doesn't sound too bad as Wario. Like when you listen to it throughout the rest of the game, it's like, yeah, he's definitely different, but yeah, it still sounds like Wario, and that's how I kind of feel about Mario and Luigi too.
I mean, I guess it's just an adjustment period, getting used to the new voice, and like after like a year or so, we'll be more accustomed to the new voices and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for Mario because Mario's not talking 24/7 like Sonic is, so it's a much easier adjustment, and he has all the takes in the world to get the voice right. Meanwhile, Roger has to go through who knows how long Frontiers' script was. So
Yeah. I mean, I will say, even though it's not a full-on transition to full voice acting for the Mario games, it does feel a bit weird considering that they have full-on voice acting for the movies, which I can understand to an extent why they would still differentiate the two. But, I feel like a lot of people that go and watch the movies and eventually become a fan of the series would prefer full-on voice acting in the video games.
I honestly think this is kind of set up for that potentially in the future, for them to have more, voices and such in the Mario games. Like, even if it's not entirely full-on voice acting, I think anyway that they're gonna start to lean a little more into that as they develop the series further in the movies and in media and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's getting new blood in to voice these characters is just kind of a one of the dominoes that they're lining up for this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do for the Legend of Zelda movie, since Link talks even less than Mario.
You don't want to know my opinion on the Legend of Zelda movie. You don't want to know my opinion on that.
We actually
don't
don't.
want to know. You don't want to know.
All right, I guess we'll wrap this up, because I think we kind of also answered that question of what we want to see in the future of 2D Mario games. I think we kind of yeah.
Basically.
I guess we'll just go to final thoughts. We'll start with Dave. What are your what's any final last minute thoughts that you have after this weird conversation?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I like grass.
I'm telling you, you're gonna watch back on this. You're gonna hate yourself. I already hate you.
I mean, I already do. I already do hate myself. So
a lot of self-deprecating humor.
It's not gonna be much of a difference.
Oh, this is not self-deprecating. It's directed at Dave.
I mean, all means continue. As much as I did not like the game as I initially thought I was going to end up liking, it is still a step in the direction for Mario that I would like to see expanded further on, especially when it comes to 2D Mario. And I do agree with the writers. I would like to see some aspects taken and put in 3D Mario games. And I mean, honestly, I think it'd be interesting to see how they would rework some aspects of 3D Mario games into 2D Mario games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, well-rounded game. Definitely will finish it on my own time sometime in the near future. But, I mean, they really knocked it out of the ballpark with this one.
How about you, Riders? What are your last thoughts?
I pretty much have the opinion on the game that I expected going into it. So it was I knew it was going to be a good game, but I knew it wasn't going to be one I would want to play long term, and that's exactly what I got. But like I said, the brain that I put out there to the world will say that it is a very well made game. It's a good direction for Nintendo. I'm really glad to see them stretch their creative muscles and take risks, because you're at the top of the food chain. To play things safe is a disservice, honestly. And you're basically lots of other companies look up to you to kind of see where to go next, how to direct their own games and such. And so seeing Nintendo take these risks and be really successful with it is definitely something I'm looking forward to in the future. And yeah, I think it just sets things up well. But if I could only ask for one thing in the future, it is a Piranha Plant a cappella album.
Should the album cover be made out of grass?
Should their top song be titled Grass?
I see the disgust.
I'm
I see the
not-
disgust.
I'm not encouraging this anymore. I'm not feeding into it anymore.
He's like, I am not.
Deep down, you know you want to.
He's saving it for the after party. You know? He's gonna whip out the grass. We're gonna have a great time.
The next panel that we host is going to be about grass.
Yeah, too many
exclusively.
games. Be like, so grass.
The grass.
We'll get the technology working just so that we can have grass in the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Oh, what about you, Al? What are your final thoughts?
Oh man, well, you know, I would consider myself a platformer enthusiast. 2D, 3D, doesn't matter. I love them all, and this game really just kind of scratched an itch I didn't really know I had. I really just think that the ideas on display here really just kind of, they just captivated me in a way that I have never felt from a 2D Mario game before. And you know, I also love getting my ass beat in my platformers, so I was very happy to have some more challenging levels to go along with it. I know a lot of people think the game was too easy. I see that sentiment being shared around a lot, and I'm kind of surprised by that because I'm like, there's some tougher levels in here, and I really liked that quite a bit about the game. But yeah, you know, just I wouldn't say it's a perfect game, you know, for some of the reasons that we discussed earlier. The bosses especially, I think, are like whatever. But you know, I think it's a great sort of start to where they could take the 2D Mario games moving forward. I mean, I can't even imagine where they could possibly take these games from this point. I'm just like, this game is just brimming with creativity and imagination in a way that I haven't really even seen in a 2D platformer before. So
They haven't done an M-rated 2D Mario game before.
there we
And I
go.
don't think they ever will.
Attack of the Grass. There we go.
You had me there.
Attack of the grass. God, that should be in the thumbnail too. Just pure, just grass.
Attack of the Grass and Attack of the Grass
Not
Junior.
engaging.
Oh God, I don't even know how to follow that up. Well, I think the game is good, and I think it's kind of going off what Al was saying. I think it's a good like gateway for future Mario games. Like okay, like Nintendo. Like, I feel like it's a good baby step into Nintendo exploring more creative ideas, because there's definitely way more creative things they could do with future games, and I think this is a good first step. That's not a remake. For them to, you know, get back into doing, like, stepping outside of the box, making innovative and creative things. Not saying that they don't make creative and innovative things anymore. I mean, Breath of the Wild was a pretty freaking innovative game. But for Mario, it's a great first step to bring him out of the bland city. So, yeah, I guess that's the end of the episode, unless there's anything that anyone wants to add in real quick.
I just want to
Any
say
extra grass?
a huge thank you to Uncle Al for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
really appreciate you.
Thanks for
I'm a
having me.
huge fan of you, by the way.
Aw.
Your videos, literally, I literally could be eating breakfast and I will vomit my breakfast when I watch your videos. It is fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a lot of fun. I don't get the chance to talk about my love of games all that much on the internet anymore. So this is a fun little way for me to do that. So I appreciate it.
What do you think Mr. Krabs would think of Wonder?
Oh, it's a wonderful time. It's absolutely excellent. I wouldn't spend my money on anything else.
Of course you wouldn't, Crabs.
Oh, Plankton, there you are. Been waiting for you. Get on over here, you
I'm
little,
gonna steal
little
that secret
turd.
formula to Wonder one day, Crabs.
Yeah, well, you know what? You go ahead, keep the formula. As long as I can keep playing Mario Wonder, I'll be happy. Oh, yeah.
Karen, fire up the grills.
It's uncanny.
Oh.
It's absolutely uncanny.
Man, if I ever try to do that, I would just sound like a whiny
Yeah,
teenager, which is what I sound like every day.
The only voice
So, you know, you guys are
I can
really
only do
talented.
the gingerbread man from Shrek. That's the only cartoon voice I can actually
Oh wait, I can do a cat. Meow.
What?
I can do like a cat.
Do it again.
So like meow.
It keeps getting cut off.
Yeah, it's like
Okay, I'm gonna stop. I feel like I've just gave us like people to unsubscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
Are you sure you like grass, or is there a special kind of grass?
No,
that you
no,
like?
no more. I am putting my foot
my
down.
cat does eat grass, so I mean, there could be a connection there.
Is it cat grass though?
There is no
Is it
It's
normal grass?
It's normal grass.
Because if it's normal grass, your cat might be throwing up soon.
Okay, we gotta stop this. This is getting cursed. I should never host this again. I
All
should
right,
never
all
be
right.
the one running.
So, since Al is the special guest, Al, go ahead and plug yourself one more time. Anything interesting that anyone should be looking forward to?
Myself and a small team, we're making a game. And it's called Kroger's Quest, and you can follow that on Twitter or X or whenever it's commonly referred to now. I still
Yeah.
call it Twitter. But yeah, that's probably the main thing you could be keeping an eye out for on my end.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, I guess so yeah, check out Al and check out all of our individual channels. We'll like it
Yep. Links will obviously be in the description and a pinned comment.
if
Hopefully,
we remember, which we probably won't. But hey,
more so Riders, because Riders
yeah,
has
so
control
Riders,
of the
it's
channel.
on you. Remember that.
Oh
Or
yeah,
we'll beat you
that's
to the
true.
grass. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next episode, you guys. See you later.
Coffee
Bye.
at midnight. Always a
Catch
good
you
idea.
all later.
We're back.
Bye bye.